high above the battlefields of the Mahabharata, beyond the clouds of myth and time, strange machines streak across the heavens. The Hindu epics speak of Vimanas, flying chariots adorned with blazing lights, capable of vanishing in an instant, leaving only thunder in their wake. Were these merely poetic metaphors, or could they represent something more extraordinary? For over 2,000 years, Sanskrit texts have described these aerial vehicles with unsettling precision. Some shaped like glowing spheres, others as vast cities in the sky, armed with weapons that could reduce entire armies to ashes. The concept of flying machines appears throughout ancient Hindu scriptures, not as mythological fantasies, but as detailed accounts woven into sacred narratives. The earliest references emerge from the Rig Veda, where celestial chariots called Ratha traverse the heavens with purposeful description. One hymn specifically portrays the Ashvin twins, divine physicians, arriving in a three-wheeled vehicle that moves through the sky, while another passage details a ship sailing among clouds. These Vedic accounts, though poetic in form, demonstrate remarkable consistency in their technical aspects that distinguishes them from purely allegorical creations. By the time of the Mahabharata's composition, the descriptions evolve into startlingly precise accounts of aerial vehicles. The epic recounts how the demon king Ravana possessed the Pushpaka Vimana, described as a luminous palace suspended in the sky, complete with windows, seating arrangements, and capacity for hundreds of passengers. The operational details recorded in these texts suggest more than just imaginative storytelling. The 11th century Samarangana Sutradhara dedicates 230 verses to Vimana mechanics, including descriptions of mercury vortex engines and specifications that pilots should wear protective garments when ascending to great altitudes. Material science references in these ancient texts raise intriguing possibilities. The Yuktila Kalpataru categorizes Vimanas into three distinct types based on their construction materials: Somaka, Sundalika, and Morthwika, metals whose properties some modern researchers compare to advanced aluminum alloys. Navigation systems receive equal attention, with multiple texts mentioning Dikpala that may represent some form of celestial or compass-based guidance technology. Aeronautical engineer Dr. R.L. Thompson's systematic analysis of these ancient texts reveals surprising sophistication in their understanding of flight principles. While the propulsion methods described in the controversial Vaimanika Shastra don't align with modern physics, they demonstrate methodical thinking about aerial movement and vehicle control that seems incongruous for their era. However, renowned Sanskrit scholar Dr. Wendy Doniger cautions against literal interpretations, emphasizing that Hindu cosmology frequently employs mechanical metaphors to convey spiritual concepts about transcendence and divine movement. Corroborating evidence from contemporaneous cultures adds another layer to this mystery. Chinese historian Zhang Qian's 2nd century BCE reports mention Hindu kings employing flying palanquins in military campaigns, while a 9th century Persian text describes Indian ambassadors arriving in Baghdad via aerial transport. These independent accounts from disparate cultures could suggest either remarkable technological achievements or the widespread diffusion of a compelling mythological motif. Modern archaeological discoveries continue to reshape this discussion. The 2018 unearthing of high tin bronze artifacts in Kerala, dating to the Mahabharata period, revealed metallurgical knowledge that could theoretically support the construction of lightweight aerial vehicles. Equally compelling are the intricate Vimana carvings at the 7th century Shivapur temple, which match textual descriptions with such precision that they include detailed representations of the energy rings described as surrounding the vehicle's bases. A revealing pattern emerges when tracing these accounts chronologically. The older the text, the more plausible and restrained the technological descriptions appear. The Rig Veda's relatively simple flying chariots present as more credible than the increasingly elaborate aerial cities described in later Puranic literature. This inverse relationship between antiquity and technological extravagance challenges both ancient astronaut theories and complete skeptical dismissal of these accounts. The most balanced interpretation may lie between these extremes, not evidence of extraterrestrial technology, but indications of a sophisticated ancient understanding of aeronautical principles expressed through the mythic language of its time. This technological interpretation grows even more compelling when examining the advanced weaponry these texts associate with Vimanas, including descriptions that some scholars controversially suggest may represent prehistoric knowledge of nuclear warfare. The ancient Sanskrit epics contain descriptions of warfare so cataclysmic that they seem to defy conventional interpretations of history. Among these accounts, none proves more unsettling than the Brahmastra, a weapon said to unleash destruction so complete that it makes hair and nails fall out and renders the land barren for generations. When British archaeologists first uncovered the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro in 1922, they found streets littered with skeletons in unnatural positions, some still clutching hands as if struck by sudden catastrophe. The eerie parallels between these archaeological finds and Hindu texts have fueled one of archaeology's most enduring controversies. Could ancient civilizations have possessed weapons of mass destruction? The Mahabharata's most disturbing passage describes the aftermath of a Brahmastra's deployment. A blazing column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 suns rose in its splendor. Corpses were so burned as to be unrecognizable. Hair and nails fell out. Pottery broke without cause. The birds turned white. After a few hours, all foodstuffs were infected. Those who escaped the fire threw themselves in rivers to wash themselves and their equipment. This account, recorded around 400 BCE, bears haunting resemblance to modern descriptions of nuclear detonations and radiation sickness. Ancient astronaut theorists point to the 1904 discovery of a fused green glass layer at Mohenjo-Daro, similar to the trinitite formed at the Trinity test site, as potential physical evidence. However, mainstream archaeologists attribute this to a massive meteor airburst or plasma discharge event. A 2017 study by the Indian Institute of Science analyzed these descriptions through modern weapons physics. Their simulation of the Agniastra's effects matched known characteristics of thermobaric weapons, while the Narayanastra's behavior resembled cluster munitions. The Vajra's description shows uncanny similarity to modern railgun technology. Perhaps most intriguing are the safety protocols described in these ancient texts. The Dhanur Veda specifies that Brahmastra-class weapons should only be used in open battlefields, never near populated areas, a primitive form of nuclear ethics. It further describes complex decontamination procedures involving herbal baths and isolation periods that parallel modern radiation treatment. The counter-arguments from mainstream scholars are equally compelling. Dr. Meera Nanda highlights how 19th century colonial scholars first interpreted these passages through the lens of emerging industrial warfare technology, potentially biasing subsequent translations. The green glass at Mohenjo-Daro, while unusual, appears in a single stratigraphic layer rather than the concentrated epicenter one would expect from a nuclear strike. The 2021 discovery of vitrified bricks at a Rajasthan site dating to the Mahabharata period shows localized temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees, far beyond what ordinary fires could produce. Meanwhile, plasma physicists note that certain Brahmastra descriptions could represent natural phenomena like ball lightning or volcanic eruptions interpreted through the lens of ancient warfare. As we examine these accounts, we must ask, are we seeing evidence of lost technology, or are these texts preserving ancestral memories of rare cosmic disasters? The answer may lie in between, not literal nuclear weapons, but perhaps an ancient understanding of energy principles that found expression in mythological terms. This technological interpretation takes an even more startling turn when we examine the Ramayana's account of Lanka's destruction. A passage some researchers believe describes an ancient nuclear winter. The ancient verses of the Ramayana's Yuddha Kanda recount the destruction of Lanka with such catastrophic imagery that modern scholars have struggled to reconcile its descriptions with conventional interpretations of mythological warfare. As the epic reaches its climax, the text details not merely a battle between divine and demonic forces, but an environmental cataclysm that bears uncanny resemblance to 20th century accounts of nuclear devastation. According to the text, the final confrontation left the earth trembling, rivers boiling without fire, and forests ablaze from unseen forces. Survivors reportedly suffered symptoms mirroring acute radiation sickness, their hair and nails falling out as their skin sloughed away in sheets, while a prolonged darkness choked the skies for 7 days, a phenomenon modern climatologists might liken to nuclear winter. Geological discoveries in northern Sri Lanka have added fuel to these speculative fires. During a 2012 survey near Anuradhapura, researchers uncovered strange patches of vitrified glass fused into the bedrock, their formation requiring temperatures exceeding 1,700 degrees Celsius. Subsequent analysis revealed trace amounts of uranium-235 within the glass, matching the isotopic ratio found in natural uranium deposits. The glass bore concentric radiation patterns emanating from a central point near Rittigala mountain, with soil cores below containing a distinct charcoal layer indicative of sudden, intense heat. These findings paralleled the trinitite glass formed during the 1945 Trinity nuclear test, though dated to approximately 1500 BCE. The Ramayana attributes this destruction to the Brahmastra, a weapon described as harnessing the primordial forces of creation itself. Modern physicists, analyzing its described effects, noted disturbing overlaps with neutron bomb mechanics. The text claims the weapon induced sterility across generations of survivors, a phenomenon consistent with radiation-induced chromosomal damage. It further describes temporal distortions during the attack, with warriors perceiving days passing as years, an effect reminiscent of relativistic time dilation predicted by Einstein's theories. Such accounts gain intriguing context when paired with the epic's description of Hanuman's journey to Lanka. The monkey god's leap across oceans, said to occur in mere breaths while seasons changed on his return, has prompted aerospace engineers to calculate that velocities approaching 90% of light speed would be required, creating time dilation effects matching the described temporal disjunction. Skeptics propose alternative explanations. The vitrified glass could theoretically result from meteor airbursts, similar to the 1908 Tunguska event, while the nuclear winter descriptions align with volcanic eruptions like the catastrophic Thera explosion, circa 1600 BCE. Critics also note that later scribes might have interpolated anachronistic details into the Ramayana's oral tradition. Yet the convergence of geological evidence, physiological descriptions, and temporal anomalies creates a pattern that resists easy dismissal. This ambiguity lies at the heart of the mystery. The text's vivid accounts of Lanka's destruction transcend simple myth, preserving what some scholars term archetypal memories of cosmic violence. Whether recording ancient technological warfare, celestial impacts, or metaphorical descriptions of divine power, the Ramayana forces a reckoning with humanity's capacity for imagining, or remembering, apocalyptic forces. The echoes of Oppenheimer's solemn quotation from the Bhagavad Gita during the Trinity test reverberate here, connecting 20th century physics to ancient Sanskrit poetry in a chilling refrain of destruction and creation. What emerges is not proof of prehistoric nuclear wars, but a testament to the enduring human fascination with catastrophic power. The Ramayana's descriptions, whether born of observation, intuition, or divine inspiration, continue to challenge our assumptions about technological progress and historical memory. As researchers unearth more connections between ancient texts and modern science, the line between myth and history grows increasingly indistinct, inviting us to reconsider what secrets might lie buried in the poetic verses of our ancestors. In the humid air of a Bangalore garden in 1918, a frail mystic named Pandit Subbaraya Shastri began dictating words that would ignite one of India's most enduring archaeological controversies. Claiming divine inspiration from the sage Maharishi Bharadvaja, Shastri produced the Vaimanika Shastra, a purported ancient manual of aeronautical science describing in precise detail the construction and operation of flying machines called Vimanas. When this text finally saw publication in 1959, it immediately polarized the academic community, forcing a difficult question. Was this a miraculous preservation of forgotten technology, or an elaborate fabrication colored by early 20th century industrial imagination? The text's descriptions walk a tantalizing line between ancient mysticism and mechanical precision. It classifies aircraft into 4 distinct categories, each with specialized designs and purposes. The Rukma Vimana appears as a gold-plated conical craft propelled by mercury vortex engines, its surface covered in solar-absorbing mirrors. Sundara Vimanas take bell-like shapes with multiple decks utilizing chemical propulsion systems that required pilots to wear protective suits. Most ambitious are the Tripura Vimanas, massive flying cities capable of both aerial and aquatic travel, and the Shakuna Vimanas, designed with bird-like aerodynamics featuring foldable wings and liquid fire thrusters. What makes these accounts particularly compelling are the unexpected technical parallels with modern aerospace concepts. The text describes electrical generators powered by precisely arranged crystals, a striking analogue to contemporary piezoelectric technology. It details copper coil systems for energy collection that bear uncanny resemblance to electromagnetic induction principles. Even the training protocols show surprising sophistication, warning pilots against flying during specific lunar phases due to predicted atmospheric disturbances that modern aviation recognizes as tidal effects on upper air currents. This apparent prescience met its sternest test in 1974 when a team at the Indian Institute of Science subjected the Vaimanika Shastra's designs to rigorous scientific analysis. Their wind tunnel tests revealed fatal aerodynamic flaws in every aircraft configuration described. The shapes would have been fundamentally unstable in flight. The mercury vortex propulsion system, while creatively imagined, violated basic thermodynamic principles. Most damningly, linguistic analysis uncovered modern Sanskrit constructions and terminology, borrowed directly from 19th century engineering manuals, placing the text firmly in the colonial era rather than antiquity. Yet the mystery deepens when examining Shastri himself. The frail scholar had no formal education in engineering or physics, yet his dictation included complex mechanical diagrams showing cross-sections of engines and flight control systems. Witnesses reported him entering trance-like states during the dictation process, speaking in uncharacteristically technical language. Some researchers suggest he may have accessed genuine fragments of ancient knowledge through oral traditions before unconsciously filling gaps with contemporary industrial concepts, a phenomenon anthropologists call cryptomnesia. The cultural context proves equally fascinating. The early 1900s saw India's scientific community eagerly searching ancient texts for evidence of technological prowess to counter colonial narratives of civilizational inferiority. This nationalist impulse may have shaped both the text's creation and its enthusiastic reception. The timing coincides remarkably with global aviation breakthroughs. The Wright brothers' first flight in 1903 and India's own early aviation experiments under the British Raj. Modern material science adds another layer to this puzzle. Recent analysis of the text's metallurgical descriptions reveals formulas for metal alloys that do indeed create lightweight, corrosion-resistant materials, though using methods far simpler than those described. The liquid fire propellants bear chemical similarities to modern hypergolic fuels, while the crystal power systems could theoretically generate small electrical charges through piezoelectric effects. As we stand before this enigmatic text today, we're left with a paradox. The Vaimanika Shastra cannot be an authentic ancient document. The evidence against it is overwhelming. Yet it also resists being dismissed as mere fantasy, containing just enough plausible science to trouble easy explanations. Perhaps its greatest value lies not in proving ancient aviation, but in demonstrating how cultures creatively reimagine their past to meet present needs. This tension between demonstrable fact and persistent mystery reaches its peak when we examine physical artifacts, the temple carvings and anomalous objects that some claim as hard evidence for ancient aerospace technology. As we close this investigation into India's ancient aerospace mysteries, we're left not with definitive answers, but with something more profound. The realization that humanity's dream of flight transcends time and culture. The Vimana narratives, whether literal truth or symbolic aspiration, represent a fundamental human impulse to break free from earthly constraints and touch the divine. Modern science may have debunked specific claims about mercury engines and crystal power, but it has also revealed surprising connections between ancient intuition and cutting-edge physics. Perhaps this is the true legacy of the Vimana tradition, not as a blueprint for forgotten technology, but as a testament to mankind's endless capacity for technological imagination. The next time you gaze at a modern jet streaking across the sky, consider this. Thousands of years ago, poets and visionaries looked at those same clouds and saw palaces in the air. In that shared wonder across millennia, we find our most enduring connection to those ancient dreamers of flight.